And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this first of two parts of a Witcher mini series we got going on here. Guild Superior, thank you so much for joining us, hanging out with us. Do Not Microwave is here. Thank you very much, Alex, for showing up. Oh, you have a vested interest in showing up. Super happy to be here and to finally run The Witcher. I've been wanting to run The Witcher forever, of course. Just about everybody else on Earth. I've played the game. Witcher 3 is one of my top games of all time. I loved the series. I read a few of the books, and the books were a little bit more challenging to get through. But the world is amazing, and I've been wanting to run this game for a while. And, the thing about running these games is you can't do it alone. I mean, you can try, but it's not as much fun. So I invited a whole bunch of people, way more talented and better looking than I am, to grace this game with their presence. And you're looking at them right now. Aren't they awesome? I would like to give them a chance to tell us a little bit about themselves, who they are, what's going on, before we dive into this thing. And I would like to give the floor to the lady in red, Rouge. Hey, Rouge, how you doing?
Oh, wow. So I am Rouge. This is, third or fourth time I'm appearing here on Guild Superior. Super happy to be back. It's always a great time. Otherwise, you can generally find me over at Live from the Apocalypse, where actually this coming Sunday, my long-running D&D campaign I've been in is getting back up and running again, so that'll be great. Nice. And should I go ahead and introduce the character I will be playing this evening?
Yes, please tell us a little. Yes, tell us.
Great. So I will be playing Kellis, who is a aspired in life to become the next wise woman for her village, but when her actual magical talent manifested, that was a bridge too far, and she was run out of her village and has since really just lived a nomadic life, roughing it in the woods, where she has really grown adept at hunting, foraging, all with her faithful companion of the small little black cat that follows her around everywhere, but really seems to have a mind of its own.
Who, as far as we know, is not a mink.
As far as we know, is just a cat. Just a super normal cat.
Of course.
But, so it's just her and her cat against the world. And otherwise, yeah, she's just, out there living the simple life by herself. Does not really have a lot of faith in authority or institutions, but does not necessarily wish ill on anyone, just mostly wants to be left alone. So
there you go. Well, we'll see if you can be left alone in this game. I highly doubt it, but
I'm sure I'm gonna get to continue my peaceful existence and nothing weird will happen.
Absolutely.
Nope.
Nothing
weird.
Everything's fine. Thanks so much for being here, Rouge. Super appreciate you joining in and doing this. We had some good fun with the Morkborg game the other day, so looking forward.
I will probably be less bloodthirsty, to be fair, this game.
I would hope so, because you were eating people in the other game, and I'm just like,
I did not eat anyone. I took trophies.
Yeah.
I did not consume human flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Stop throwing around these baseless accusations.
Mm-hmm. Hey, well, hopefully no one gets eaten tonight. And on that note, I would like to introduce you, making his debut here on Guild Superior, a friend of ours from the stream team, the man known as Chaotic Writer, Matt. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome.
Yes, my name is Matt, your Chaotic Writer, streamer, game master, content creator. You can typically find me at twitch.tv/chaotic_writer. And today I'm here with all of these fantastic individuals ready to play some Witcher. I will be playing Zendal Stoga, who is a dwarf criminal turned security consult. And it will be a fun session.
We will certainly try to make it so. Thank you so much for appearing. We've been checking each other out for a long while, and it's fun to finally get to play with you. So thank you so much for accepting the invite to come and play with us. Appreciate it very much. Next up, someone who needs no introduction, but we'll get some anyways because that's how we roll here, who's been in several of my games already. Stephanie. How you doing, Stephanie? This time you're not hunting strange folklore monsters in Scandinavia in the 1800s, but you're hunting strange folklore creatures in, Temeria. So
yeah, very different. So hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm back again, Guild Superior. You can usually be found in Bleakseason games. Very excited to try Witcher. I'll be playing Agnieszka Liss. She is a doctor. She was raised by a mage after escaping from her stepmother's attempts to kind of bump her out of the way in favor of her own children for inheritance wise. So she's a doctor trained in Oxenfirth, and she's just gonna have a time. We'll see what kind of time it is very soon.
Slicing and healing.
See,
because back then, doctors, it was basically just amputating stuff, so.
Yeah, it's very pre a lot of things. It's just like drink this, pass out, and we're gonna chop that off. So.
And then Rouge's character from Owlbear comes in and takes the body part and runs away.
Just little trophies, yeah. Recycling in a way.
Recycling, I like that. Thank you so much for being in this game again. Always appreciate playing with you. Super happy to have you here. Somebody else I play with very often and who is always a ton of fun, which is why I keep inviting them back. Kay, how you doing, Kay? With your wonderful cat pillows. The cat wall, the wall of cat.
The cat has left now because...
Oh, no.
She's rude, but I still have the pillows to keep me company. I suppose. I guess, hi, my name is Kay, or you can find me at Caden Cosmos on most things. I do artsy stuff. Anyway, that's not the important stuff. I'm here to play Anthony Novak today. Anthony is a bard of sorts. He's more of a busker kind of type, somebody that you'd see performing, you'd see people on tight ropes or doing acrobatic stunts or contortionists. He's of that kind of ilk. He also does music as well. He does flute, and he sings. But some people like the more juggling knives and playing a flute at the same time, or a harmonica or some sort. So people like that a little bit more. He's a dodger of responsibility. He tries to keep a rotating list of cities along, and then until someone gets a little too committed, and then he goes to the next one. It's been a few years.
You're on tour, basically.
Yeah, always on tour.
With the groupies and the techies and...
Yeah. I
don't know about the techies.
definitely
I'll take the
haven't had to
groupies.
carry everything. Definitely.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here. You know that as the bard now, it is your responsibility to craft a song that's going to catch fire and, embed itself in popular culture and have everyone singing it. And you can't do toss a coin. It's already done.
Now, if I commit arson while they play a song, I mean, it does technically catch fire.
Things worth thinking about. Thank you so much, Kay, for being here. Super appreciate you. Happy to have you here. We will get started in just a minute. I am, of course, Bleakseason. You can find me at the Bleakseason on Twitter and right here doing a bunch of stuff. I'll tell you more about a lot of that other stuff. You see what we did here. A little bit later, for now, I also wanted to tell you a little bit about the music you're hearing is from, as always, tabletopaudio.com, the awesomest internet source for music. Check out their website for tons of free stuff. A couple bucks get you on the Patreon, get even more stuff. And I'm usually absolutely terrible when I'm jamming at changing the music on time, so just bear with me. If I don't, I'll eventually catch up and I'll change it. But it's not their fault. Their music's awesome. I'm just an idiot. Otherwise, I would also like to thank, of course, the guild, everyone in our chat, posting coffee memes in the morning, getting everybody going. We do love having people over, getting people in our games, try to get new people in their games all the time. So check us out on Twitter, on Discord, on Instagram. Dave hasn't made his TikTok yet. Oh, also, by the way, officially as of today, we have to refer to Dave as Mother Dave. That's the new rule. Mother Dave. So we have big shout outs to Mother Dave, Ashley, and Andy, the other the rest of the production team at Guild Superior, and everybody else who plays in our games and hangs out and has fun with us. There is a TikTok, man. I do not want to know about the TikTok. I also don't want to know about the Only Feats, but that's another story altogether. If you should feel emboldened to do so, you can help our players here tonight with some bits. 100 bits will get a player of your choice an advantage. They may need it because I don't know if you notice, but no one made a Witcher. So
It's fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Everything's fine.
I mean, it's I'm sure lots of people besides Witchers have great survival rates in the Witcher setting. I'm sure it's great.
Obviously,
There's still very few Witchers around, right?
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
Fine.
No,
Have a
it's it'll be
reputation.
fine. No, we're just, it's only called The Witcher just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
this is the story
you
of the
might
town
find
that got
one.
wiped.
Sometimes you need a B team, you need the regulars.
B team. Well, we don't know yet. We'll find out. We'll find out soon enough exactly what you are or what you are not. Let us then set forward into the story of The Witcher. The Witcher, of course, takes place in a land that is, at the time of our adventure, ravaged by war. Nilfgaard, again, on the warpath against the kingdoms of the north. Our story takes place on the frontier between Lyria and Dol Blasana, which is the land of the elves. There is here a very small town called Briggs Crossing, but what's of interest to us right now is not necessarily the town. It is the estate that lies beyond it. We will find out very soon exactly what that estate is all about. Thank you, Dr. Squiggums. Thank you very much for the follow. We appreciate it. You've traveled back in time. Hold on, my notes are not cooperating. All right. So as we move in here to the area called Briggs Crossing, the small wayside post of Briggs Crossing, it's not much to look at. A comfortable enough looking inn, a few fixtures, an ostler, a general goods store, a few small houses. But the people seem friendly enough. And the view beyond the crossing, now, that was worth traveling all the way out here for. When you received a letter from your friend Belmont, you felt a certain sense of worry, of unease. These are troubled times after all, what with the war with Nilfgaard and all. But the thought of laying eyes on his estate once more was enticing. You've only been here once or twice, but never in the fall, and the sea of riotous colors that shimmer in the trees of the forest surrounding the gnome's estate is breathtaking. And the mountains that rise behind, silver and snow-capped, giant silent monoliths that watch the seemingly unimportant and insubstantial tribulations of the people below from the vantage point of epochs, appear as beautiful and unknowable as anything you've ever seen. As you guide your horse toward the front of the inn, you notice, arriving as you do, others that you recognize. Is it serendipity? You choose to let the beauty of the natural surroundings comfort you and color your emotions. Surely this is but a sign of good things to come. You whisper a silent wish that Belmont is, after all right, and you wave at those that you recognize. Tell me, my friends, as you approach this inn, and we will begin perhaps in the reverse order. Oh, we'll go in the same order we went earlier. We'll begin with Rouge. Rouge, tell us a little bit about your character, what the character looks like, what they're doing as they're approaching this inn, and your character has lived in these parts before, in the estate in Belmont's estate. So for you, in some ways, it's a bit of a return home. So tell us a little bit about what people would see as you approach the inn.
Palace is of medium height, dark hair that she keeps bound back in braids and then tightly bound at the back of her head. And otherwise, her clothing is pretty utilitarian. You know, she's got a nice heavy cloak, very weathered leathers that she wears, a quiver on her back, a bow that actually looks of pretty solid make. One might even think it looks slightly elvish, which maybe isn't so weird for these parts, considering how Belmont's lands are with all of the different people. But certainly some of the time definitely gets a second look from people when she's out and about. But she's definitely frequented Belmont's farm several times. As someone who's just constantly moving and looking for places to settle short term. It's actually probably one of the places that she's been most frequently, from just such the warm welcome that she gets anytime she's able to stop by and like help out with odd work and earn her keep. So she's definitely been here before. And so once she got word that there was something she could do to help Belmont out, she absolutely started right away to head that way and see what it was that she could help with.
Excellent. And as you approach the inn with, have we a name for your feline companion?
I mean, she hasn't told me a name. It feels rude to give her one, because like obviously she has one. So just because she hasn't told me it doesn't mean she.
No,
doesn't have
perhaps
one.
a.
So she just calls. Kellis just calls her cat.
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 Perhaps this is a mystery that we will resolve in due time. As you approach, you notice another familiar figure who is also approaching, and this would be Zendal. Matt, would you tell us a little bit about Zendal?
Absolutely. Stepping forward from what I imagine would be the carriage, you notice a dwarf, an individual of short but stout stature. This individual is wearing a leather laborer's jacket that has cured padding. He wears a belt and a dress piece in the style of a dwarven warrior. A bit of a piece that he wears as part of, sort of embellishing part of his lineage. He walks forward deliberately. He is not somebody who is very quick to move long distances, and he carries himself with a cane that has a spiral shape along the staff and an amber gem embedded into the topmost portion of the cane. And as he steps forward and manages to look upon the inn, there's a sense of apprehension and also watchfulness. It's not as if this is necessarily all that different from the last time that he's visited these parts, but the message in the correspondence that he has received, he's not quite sure what to expect, and he realizes very peculiar that there are certain individuals that he recognizes. But upon seeing these individuals, he almost certainly lets his guard down right away. In particular, I would say that the first individual Zendal would see would be Liss. that is to say, would be his nickname for them. And he stands there and blinks and realizes that it has been a long time. And he tilts his head and is like, I didn't expect to see you here. What a surprise.
And how is the good doctor then, as she arrives and is approached by Zendal?
Agnieszka rides in on a horse with her doctor's pack attached to it. She's not expecting to see any other familiar faces. She's about average-sized woman with light brown hair that she wears in a thick braid, the traveling cloak, and she wears kind of like a red sort of tunic over her pants that has like yellow and purple embroidery, and pinned there is rather a jeweled brooch in the shape of a bird that Belmont had gifted her when she had graduated from Oxenfirth, studying medical with her medical studies. And she's been concerned because it's not like Belmont to go this way, but seeing familiar faces, she's both kind of surprised, and it's a mixture of, oh good, I'm not alone in this, but also, oh, this is really going to be serious, isn't it, if everyone else is potentially converging on this point. But she just kind of gives Zendal a wave. She's like, I did not expect to find you here. It's been some time. How have you been?
Well, I am managing. I'm managing since, I should say. Are you? You're not the only one that has arrived here, are you? And then looking over, probably noticing Anthony.
Yes, as the two of you have come together and started discussing, you do see the final member of this particular group arriving, and it is in fact Anthony. Anthony, tell us a little bit what they see.
I don't think anyone has been giving Anthony a lot of attention in the last little while. Like, I think he tried to, when everyone got there, he was trying to make conversation, and I felt kind of maybe like, you know, everyone's like so deep in their thoughts about this. Like, he came to, of course, help his friend Belmont, but it's like it was a long time since he last heard from him, and even that was like a reconciliation of another period of time that Belmont has gone missing. So it's like he's kind of used to it. He's a bit surprised that other people are here, but so he's like sulking. He's like picking at his nails, and if Agnieszka, right, is just pulling up, he's gonna brighten up and be like, yes, someone to talk to. It's been a long time. How are you?
I've been well. How are you? What brings you here, Anthony?
I do you remember. Oh, you must remember Belmont.
Of course.
Your uncle. I received a letter from him asking to come see him. So do you know, are you here for the same reason?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm a bit concerned. Zendal, did you also get a letter?
Unfortunately, I did, and seemed very grim. I didn't know what to expect. It wasn't the tone that I would expect from well, for Belmont. But I know now that it is not an insignificant matter. It sounds quite dire, as a matter of fact.
Rouge, Kellis, you see these people that you've seen in before, I've heard of before. Dude Belmont are talking about this letter. You hear them mention this, and your ears perk up at the mention of this letter.
Excuse me, you said you received a letter from Belmont?
Yes, you did as well?
Yes, I pass through his land sometimes and help him with jobs. I didn't realize the extent of help he needed when he asked me. Hi, I'm Kellis.
Nice to meet you. I'm Agnieszka Liss. I'm a doctor.
Antony, why did I say it so weird?
Mhm.
Anthony Novak.
You're just finding the
am-
voice. It's okay.
I am
A little
profession-
different every location.
Yeah. Maybe I was trying something new. You know,
Exactly.
Be a new person.
Every new place is a chance to reinvent yourself.
Well met. I am Zendel Stoga. It is a pleasure to meet you. I, like many of you, I'm friend of Belmont. Did a little bit of security consult for his estate a while back.
As you stand there, you hear a voice that all of you would recognize, coming from the direction of the inn. Well, y'all just gonna stand out there all day amassing more dust to bring in here, or are you gonna bring it in now so that we can shut this door and get to drinking? You turn to see Yarvin Brigg, the dwarven owner of the inn in the dwarf whose family's name is on the area, Briggs Crossing, and he is standing in the doorway of his inn. He's got a rag in one hand, he's wiping down a pewter mug with the other, and you can see that even though he's got kind of this little gruff demeanor, he is quite happy to see you, and not a little bit curious. Also, you can definitely see that he finds this grouping of particular people very interesting, and you can tell he's got questions burning his tongue, but he steps aside and he motions towards the inside of his inn and says, well, come on in, we'll get you sorted out right quick. Will you be needing rooms then?
Well, first of all, if we're going to bring dust inside, why did you bring a mug outside? That seems unhygienic at best. But yes, I think a couple rooms or at least a room for myself. I don't know about these folks. I don't know how long, though. Do you need to have a kind of time frame, or can I just go day by day?
What on earth are you blathering about? Get in here!
I think the message is drink first.
Drink first, ask
Logistics
questions later.
Sounds fair.
And I do have questions, but for now, come on in. Yes, you can bring the cat in. That's fine. As long as it doesn't start peeing everywhere. Is it housebroken?
I think the cat just like jumps up on Kellis's shoulder to ride in
It gives Yarvin a bit of
and
an eyebrow.
looks extremely offended at Yarvin's comments. If a cat could look offended, which we all know cats can easily.
It's their bread and butter. As you move into the inn and find a quiet table and order drinks and food, perhaps a little refresher on the content of the letter would be useful. The letter that you received from Belmont, and all of you know Belmont from different walks of life, from different areas. Belmont is a gnome. He has been a bit of an adventurer, and has made a bit of a fortune, and his dotage has decided to buy this estate out here, and moved in here several years ago. The letter that you receive read, "My dear friend, long since our last encounter, since we matched wits and clinked glasses and broke bread, too long, I dare say, many a day has faded into night, many a summer turned cold winter. But the time has come for us to meet again. I will not lie, I need your help. Some dark, cruel power has seized my lands. I suffer, as does my family. You remember, certainly, sweet Clarabelle, and my people suffer. I believe only you can bring peace and joy to my hall once more. I bid you come no later than the first day of autumn. Please, if our friendship has ever meant anything to you at all. Please. Your friend Belmont." And it was this second please in the letter that told you that this was serious. Belmont, not a gnome, used to asking for things. That second please really sort of underlined the distress he must be feeling. Thank you very much, Fantasy Animal Vegan, for those cheers. Zendal, you have received 3 advantages from Fantasy Animal Vegan.
Ooh, thank you.
As the goggles that reeled him in.
Someone is the chat's favorite.
Fantasy Animal Vegan is a very, very kind watcher. Always taking care of the players. You move into the inn, a very comfortable inn that you've certainly been in a few times before. There is a fire roaring nearby, and with the chill of autumn sort of settling in fully at this point in time of the year, you are finding it a very welcome sight indeed. You sit down at a little table not too far from the fire. Yarvin comes in and brings you drinks and some food and whatnot, and you notice, Anthony, that there's a couple of musicians of some stripe that are setting up in a corner. They haven't started playing anything yet, but there's someone with a fiddle and someone else with a little sort of drum, a little hand drum that they got, and they're just sitting there having a drink and tuning the fiddle and sort of playing. So there will be some entertainment at some point. The night is falling very rapidly, and which is why you had decided to rest here one night before moving on to the estate known as Fairy Manor. Because it is said that in those woods, once, perhaps a long time ago, many fairies lived. Belmont, of course, scoffed at this. He bought it on the cheap because apparently the owners had suffered some terrible misfortune, and the estate had laid dormant for quite some time until he came around and purchased it and spruced it up and got it to be all nice and better. And you've had a chance to taste of his hospitality before. And, well, you look forward to seeing it again. But for right now, you are sitting at this table. The musicians are looking to start playing. You've had a couple of drinks now and a bit of food, and you're feeling quite warm and well rested from your travels. And perhaps after the pleasantries of discussing a little bit together and introducing each other and speaking a little bit about yourselves, you've once again, in a lull in the conversation, the thought of the letter and what it might mean and what might be happening with Belmont settles in, and perhaps discussing a little bit about how you know Belmont with each other might be a way to sort of try and gauge where everybody else is at.
I must say, I've never known Belmont to be somebody who, well, had a lot of needs. Well, that is to say, to be able to state them, usually. Very resourceful. This individual has always been. Seems a little uncharacteristic. But, you know, I personally believe at some point everyone needs individuals to work out a difficult time in one's life. Wouldn't you say there, Liz?
I'd agree. Everyone has a different perspective and different talents they could bring to a problem. I wasn't aware you'd known him. Have you known him for long with the security work?
Well, it's a couple of jobs, but an individual like Belmont, it's very difficult not to quickly build a friendship. A very personable individual, indeed. But you know, I'm a little curious because this has been the first time I've seen some of you here. Anthony, how has the busking been, my friend? No doubt you have been serenading many a patron with your playing.
Oh, always on the move, always on the prowl for new little spots to ply my trade. But they're not ever as interested in the music. You know, they want to see me juggle the knives. They want to see me, walk a tightrope while doing something else. They never just want to hear about, the little lamb who went to college or something, they don't appreciate the real art, but
Oh, let me tell you. Looking over to Kellis, just saying, this one here, especially the acrobatics work, getting anywhere near losing balance, able to catch themselves at the last moment. A very lucky individual, if I don't say so myself. And pray tell, what is your feline's name?
Don't know. They've never told me.
Oh.
I just call them cats. They seem to understand fair enough.
I see. A little bit of a mystery there.
Cats are pretty perceptive in their own right. Still. Where did you come about your cat?
I think I'd have to honestly say that cat found me.
Oh.
I wander quite a bit. I don't really have any set place I call home, so it's just we crossed paths one day.
Sounds like it was meant to be.
Have kind of stayed together ever since.
Do we address your friend as Cat as well, or is there a lady cat? I don't know. Is there?
Anthony.
Cat should be just fine. I don't think there's any real understanding of titles when it comes to felines. They pretty much all believe their nobility in their own right, so the title's superfluous.
So perhaps they haven't given away their name because they feel like trust is needed before such a thing. Or perhaps they don't care in the first place. But then again, they are cats.
Inscrutable creatures.
Mm.
The cat gets off your shoulder and walks down your arm and slowly and very regally starts walking around the table and stops at each of you and gives you a tentative little sniff and sort of looks at you with these strange green eyes that obviously, as it's a cat, seem to know a lot more than it's, willing or able to say. And after having thoroughly taken your measure, each of you, it continues around the table and goes to all of you, and then it stays perhaps a little longer in front of Agnieszka. Long enough, in fact, to sort of hop into Agnieszka's lap for a moment, and you hear a bit of soft purring.
Hello. Just a very tentative, pet on the top of the head, because that's usually the safest spot to start.
It'll let you pat its head a little bit, but
just don't want to overdo it.
Very shortly after that, we'll sort of, still purring a little bit, climb back on the table and head back towards Callus, and you'll hear the voice of the innkeeper again going, "So are you with the Witcher then?"
The Witcher?
Mm-hmm.
No. There's a Witcher in these parts.
He comes over and Aaron comes over and he puts down dessert on the table and passes around these little bowls of cream and cookies that he's got, and pulls a chair, turns it around, sits down, wipes his hands on his rag, and takes a look to see if he's not needed right now, and then leans back. He's like, "Well, I just assume you're going up to Belmont's place. Y'all friends with him, right?"
Yes, we're friends of his. And a Witcher also. Belmont does get around. He has lots of friends. First I've heard of a Witcher, though.
Well, there's one here this morning. I was heading up to Belmont's place. I would say a grizzled old fellow with white hair and beard, but that's pretty much what they all look like.
Fair.
Wouldn't give a name, though. Kind of standoffish. Those the old cat eyes. Ugh, no offense, he says as he looks at the cat. Everything all right with Belmont? What's, I mean...
Well, have you seen Belmont in a while? Perhaps I haven't seen him in quite a while, so maybe you've seen him more recently.
Well, dare say it's been probably since the beginning of the summer, maybe since the last time I saw him, but he's been acting a little strange, I find. He's been a little closed off, a little standoffish. He used to come into town every day, would just walk on down from Fairy Manor and come by here and either have some dinner with us or pick up something at the market, but then he did that less and less, and I have to say that in the spring we barely saw him, and then in the summer we saw him once or twice, and he seemed a little off, a little pale, a little, I don't know. He looks at, is that all you? Been in the war, have you?
He's going to look. He's going to look the individual up and down, just kind of seeing if he can get an initial sense of why that might be asking. And then he is going to, of course, set his kind of just like put his hands on his staff just very gently and then tip his head up and say, Walt gave it away.
Well, someone goes to war to get that look in their eyes, and I've not been to war myself. I've been lucky enough. My trade kept me going even in these times of conflict, but I've seen many a soldier come by here, and, well, sure, there's a uniform sometimes, and there's a bearing, but beyond that, even when they don't have those things, there's a certain something in the eye, a little shadow that appears that you can see when you know what to look for. Like to think that I'm an astute observer of people. And, well, you got that look, and, well, Belmont never struck me as someone who had that look, but I have to say that since the spring, he had that look. He had that little shadow, that little weight on the shoulder that makes the head dip a little bit, and the shoulders round in protection a little bit, and no offense, I certainly didn't mean to imply or pry too much. Man's war records his own business, but I just thought perhaps you would understand what I was trying to talk about.
Well, certainly it seems like Belmont has seen something that has changed him in some way, shape, or form, if what you say is true.
Was there some sort of accident at the manor?
Nothing that really made any noise. Nothing that we heard about. He looks at Callus. You've been around a little bit, his estate. I mean,
Sure.
I've seen you running about. You pick up on anything strange, or?
Not when I was there last. There've been no skirmishes or anything like that anywhere near here, have there?
No. We're close to the elf lands here, and, well, even the Nilfgaardians are not that interested in going to mess with that particular hornet's nest, so they've been giving Northern Illyria a bit of a wide berth.
You can say that again.
For now.
Small favors.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, if
Gosh.
you're going up there, you tell old Belmont that some of us worry about him down here, and we hope he's doing all right. And if he needs anything, I know he's sort of like retired and sort of bought that place to shut himself off from the world a little bit, but, tell him that if he needs anything, we're here. It's been good to this little town, and we'd like to be good in return.
And you say a witcher passed up there earlier, but there's been no rumor or talk of anything odd that would make anybody suspect?
Nothing that I
would
heard.
warrant a witcher.
No mention of monsters or anything like that. I mean, there's so few of those things around anymore. I mean, they've practically faded back into myth and legend, but I'm not stupid. I know there's still here and there a couple of cursed things running around, but again, this close to the elf lands. It's not like I heard about neckers running around in the woods or anything.
You don't bring a witcher to handle any old pest, like...
Don't I know it? Which is why I was a little curious, and I thought perhaps as friends of old Belmont, you might have known what was going on. But I guess he hasn't told you any much more than he's told us.
Perhaps it's one of those things he'd prefer to tell us in person.
He is a private man, a private gnome.
I do have a question. Those past times that you might have seen him, you didn't notice perhaps anything peculiar on his person? Anything new or anything off kilter?
No. Can't say that I did. It was really just that look in his eye, like he was haunted or something, but I didn't see anything really that struck me as odd or strange, aside from his behavior, of course. Well, I mean, how long's it been since y'all been up there? A couple of years at least? He's been living up there pretty much alone. That's the one thing that's changed. Maybe a year ago or so.
Alone?
Well, very much so. About a year or so ago, he vacated most of the servants and the people working on the land, and well, even his daughter's gone. She left a little while back. I think she was headed to Novigrad for some studies or some such. And after that, he kind of just, I guess, figured he didn't need the help around the house as much anymore, perhaps, and...
She hasn't been back to visit recently?
Not since last Yule. I do believe she was here at Yule, but she's here maybe a week or so, and then she had to go back to her studies or whatever it is that she's doing up there.
Well, if it's been a while since he's been to town, maybe we should bring some supplies up as well. Especially, if he needs some company, we could, have the extra stuff.
Not a bad idea. That you plan on going up
That's
first
an
thing in the
excellent
morning?
idea.
I think so.
That was my plan.
Mine as well.
All right, I'll have some things prepared for you to bring up.
How far of a walk is it to get from the inn to Belmont's?
Take a few hours.
And is it already like dusk by now, or?
Yeah, it's by now. It would be like well into the night. You've been having a few drinks and eating and chatting, and
If he had need to send for a witcher, it would probably be good not to walk at night to get there, if that what was you were thinking.
Can't say I'm really used to spending nights in inns. I had honestly originally figured I would just prop myself up somewhere outside, but walking is as good a way to spend the evening as any.
If you're certain.
well, you'll let me know what you
There's
want to
enough
do.
danger that I'd be in danger walking there. I certainly don't want to leave Belmont alone with it.
Well,
I'm sure it's not anything that dangerous if he invited us to come help him without giving us any warning like that. Surely he would have thought to say something if it was that dangerous.
Well, could be anything from embarrassment to special need for discretion. Something we can't think of. you don't seem to have a particular reason to get there before the rest of us now, do you?
Just guess I don't really generally find myself staying in one place long enough to stay here rather when I know that's where I'm trying to get to.
Well, I do also know that his estate does have multiple rooms. That is an option.
I wasn't assuming anyone else would try to walk through. I'm so used to walking around the woods at night. For me, it's normal. But forgive me saying, some of you seem like you might be a little more accustomed to city living. It may not be the best for you to try to walk through these woods at night.
You make a fair point.
Probably isn't best for my coordination, if I were to use that term. He taps on his cane a little bit and he says, well, we're not going to keep you here. If you are more at home out there in the dark, then we hope to see you in the morning.
Nothing else. If I see a nice place, maybe I'll just bed down for the night there, and I'll already be a few hours closer come daybreak. So, but it seems like a good plan for people to bring things to help out in the morning. I'm not trying to suggest everybody should.
Oh no, I
rush up there
understood what you
tonight.
mean. You won't. It's your personal comfort.
But it's nice to have met you all, and I'll see you all at Belmont's tomorrow.
Yes. And safe travels to you and the cat.
You get up to go then?
I do.
When you do, the cat jumps off your shoulder and jumps on the table and sort of sits itself there and starts to clean itself.
Cat. Come on, you can do that out there.
It turns around and gives you this, you talking to me?
Cat, you had plenty of time to clean yourself up. We've been here for hours. It's time to go. Come on.
The cat looks at you, looks at these people, and then almost seems to shrug. Then hops down, walks off after you.
Weird cat.
Very opinionated.
It's a cat.
Free spirit. I like that. Begins to down the rest of his tankard. Says, well, my journey has been a bit of a pain, but here, with a warm bed, should be right as rain tomorrow. Liz, now that you're here, I should ask or request you. Do you perhaps have a re-up, so to say?
I was about to offer that myself. Yes, I can fix you up something for tonight. Don't worry.
Excellent. I can't tell whether perhaps we're expecting rains tomorrow or what it is, but I am definitely not the best condition. I believe that might get me through the next few miles.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to need to be as rested as possible before we get there.
I agree.
But yes, I will, once I'm in my room, I'll get that ready for you and then pass it on.
Excellent.
So you will each... sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was going to say Tony, Anthony, before I forget, last time we met, we didn't quite finish that particular game of dice. I expect to have an opportunity before we leave to test your luck against mine.
Oh, I'd be happy to. I know it's more skill though, but I know I beat you there. But we can always test our luck. I'm gonna have a few drinks with the boys, and I'll very bro-y point to the musicians, and I bought us a few rounds of shots, especially if Belmont's gonna be a bit of a downer. So.
And they're dwarven shots, so they're pints.
Yeah.
All right, so Agnieszka will go upstairs to prep the solution, the elixir for Zendal. You are going, Anthony, to hang out with the musicians. Zendal, you will be going to your room, taking your soother, and Callus will be heading out into the cold dark. Is there anything you wish to do? We'll go around and we'll finish with Callus here, since that'll be the slightly more involved one. But is there anything that anyone wants to do before you go sleep, as you each have your own rooms and you find yourselves in small, very clean, comfortable rooms with a little bedside table and a couple of candles and fairly clean and comfortable bed, maybe a chair in a corner and a little box to put things in if you want. Is there anything you want to do before you go to bed? And we'll start with Zendal.
For Zendal, Zendal, he has very particular habits, a very practiced paranoia. And so before, of course, the actual time for bed, he's going to get a few shots in, have a couple of laughs, enjoy some of the music. When it's time for him to retire to his room, he is going to habitually find a chair and put a chair underneath the knob. He doesn't like the prospect of any unknown individuals sneaking into his room. He's going to check the windows, pull the blinds closed, take the sample sedative, or that is to say the sedative that has been provided from Agnieszka. Did I pronounce that correctly? I think I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah,
I think I was close. Yeah. All right, cool. And very gingerly setting himself into the bed and begins consuming the I will say the sedative,
the soother,
the soother. And you, of course, will be lying on his back. His pupils will dilate a bit, and he is just going to pass into sleep in that fashion.
And have a very good night's sleep with undisturbed by weird dreams or anything like that. Agnieszka, after you've provided the soother, you find yourself in the room. You can hear downstairs Anthony having a real good go at it with the other musicians. It feels like the party's just picked up, and you can hear the thumping and the clapping and the people cheering through the floorboards of your room. What do you do?
I think hearing Anthony downstairs kind of helps calm her nerves a bit, since she has been very worried about Belmont. But just hearing like the revelry and Anthony's music and voice kind of gives her a very comforting, almost nostalgic feeling to parties and banquets they'd attended as children. And it's a very different time, but there's a comfort there. And she just kind of settles into her room. She probably looks out the window, if it's in the direction of where Fairy Manor is, maybe watches as Kellis disappears into the woods before she ultimately settles down for the night to try to get as much rest as she can.
As you lay down and go to sleep, and you start to have some slightly disturbing dreams. Disturbing, not extremely disturbing, but you hear a voice outside your room, and it is the voice of your husband's wife, speaking about you, and the voice is coming closer, and you hear the doorknob of your door turning, and you hear her voice calling for you, and then the door
My
opens.
my stepmother's
Your
voice, to
stepmother, yes,
clarify?
yeah. You come awake. You realize you're in the dark. The candle has burnt out. The music downstairs has ceased. People have gone to bed. You can, from the window, see that it's just before dawn. And when you turn back into the room to sort of try and get your bearings and whatnot, you kind of feel for a moment like there are a pair of green feline eyes, very similar to the ones of Callus's cat, who are staring at you from the dark corner next to the door. And when you shake your head and clean your eyes a little bit, they're gone.
I light a candle immediately because no.
You light it, and you have trouble getting the match to strike and to light, but then eventually when you get the light, and the little sort of soft amber light of the candle starts to fill the room and push the shadows away, you kind of feel a lingering presence there, similar to that of your stepmother, that kind of coldness, but it dissipates as you can see the sun a little bit cresting over the horizon.
Yeah, she's gonna open the curtains at that and just kind of pace around and then just lean against the door to make sure it can't open, and just kind of watch the corner and just let the light slowly fill the room.
And it will bring you some relief. Anthony, you had quite the evening. You actually made a certain amount of money. People were very taken by you. You can tell that the musicians you played with were competent, but they were like, the local boys. And you, of course, being a big city talent, brought a little bit of flair to the proceedings. The thing that stood out for you is that this being a small town and everything, people were really into the music, and you didn't need to pull out knives or fire or anything. It was just people were really just into the songs and demanding another one and demanding another one. And you, at some point, you were like, man, I gotta get some sleep. And people were still there, like kind of clamoring for them and buying you rounds and drinks. And certainly, if you felt like not sleeping alone, you could have ended up with whoever you wanted from that crowd, as they were completely in the palm of your hand in bed that morning. So as you awake, not really remembering how you got to your bedroom or anything, you just remember like the singing and the dancing and the going around and the drinks and just coming at you, and the money just sort of piling into your, almost kind of like a wish come true, where you're just sitting there and all these things were just, like a dream. And then you wake up and you get this splitting headache. Tell us a little bit what happens when you wake up. Are you alone? What do you do?
So I think that I was alone. I think I also have woken up like before the sunrise with this headache, to the point where I can't get back to sleep. And all my things, even though I was obviously sloshed when I got back, because I don't remember getting back, all of my most important things are like lined up on a table. I stuff them back in my pockets, and I go and I knock on Agnieszka's door, and I assume she doesn't respond, so I just end up passing out on her door. So when she opens it, I'm gonna fall directly into her room.
And those scare her. She just kind of jumps back with a yelp. It's just like, Anthony, explain.
I
why
don't want to think about Belmont right now. It's like
Okay.
it's really hard, you know.
Just gonna have to drag him into the room, just prop him up, just like it is very. I know it's very hard. It's very. My mind will not quiet if I know there's someone in trouble, which is great in my field of work, but.
And when did you last see him? Like he's your uncle, right?
Yeah, the last time he was in Oxenfirth, which was remind me, how long ago did I see him?
It would have
in
been a couple of
Oxenfirth?
years.
Couple of years.
Yeah.
Was
Like
it
he would have gone.
my
No, he would have
graduation?
gone back like maybe one more time after your graduation, sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, he came by sometime after I graduated. He wanted to see how I was getting on. But it's been a few years. But we write, but my work keeps me traveling sometimes and busy, and he has his own affairs. But yeah, it would have been a few years. Have you seen him more recently than that?
I don't think so. I think, you know, when I was first he really supported me. You were there. You really supported me when I was getting into the bard lifestyle, and I really appreciated that. My family didn't really care, and you know, it's like. And then I didn't hear from him for a while, and then we got back in touch, and then you know it's been another couple of years since I last heard from him. So, and there's a Witcher. What is that? Like, so
he has friends in a variety of places, but the timing of that with the letter is not. He's not alone, so that is good. It's just very. It's very not like Belmont. She's making a hangover tonic while she's like talking because she knows Anthony. So she like hands it to him.
Seltzer.
his hound is already outstretched. Like, okay, thank you.
Your usual hair of the dog. There you go. But no, I think the worry has been making it hard to sleep tonight.
Try very hard.
Yeah, I had a nightmare that Joanna was in my room, so it's a great mood setter for this. Yeah.
If this was a story, it'd be an omen of things to come, but...
I was hoping the cat purring in my lap last night was an omen of good things.
Me too. I wish that...
I'd like to focus on that as an omen instead of old nightmares. But he's not alone. We're here now. We're going to help him. So it should work itself out.
And on those prophetic words, we go back to last night, just before everyone went up to their rooms. You step out into the cold, the cat still kind of lagging behind and seeming hesitant a little bit, Callus, but eventually, of course, coming out and following with you, even yawning at some point.
I think Kellis is just like half turning her head behind, be like, I'm not paying for a room, so I don't know what you think we're going to do if we stay there. Easy for you to say. You're not the one who needs to figure out where to find the money. I'm the one who does all the foraging around here.
He gives you a look like, oh yeah, what about that mouse that I brought you 3 days ago and I left on your bedroll, and you just like, you know, that was a gift and you just threw it away.
Unfortunately, dead mice don't fetch much as far as money to pay innkeeps with.
You get the feeling that he feels that that's what's wrong with this world.
They just don't value what's important, you know?
So you will try to make your way into the estate then, or what is your plan?
Yes.
As you start,
I think, Kellis has been here several times before, would have a pretty solid idea of the roadway that she needs to be taking. Because that's the thing, it's an estate. There's definitely a roadway to get to
there is
Belmont's.
You
So
can
it's
look
not
at
even
the,
like she has to travel in the middle of anywhere.
you can check the map on Owlbear if you wish. That roadway leads straight. There's a gate. There's an iron um, fence in there. At some point, I'll put the map back up here in a second, and you can see that there is a. You cross the bridge, then you're into like a little plaza of the village, and you keep going straight, and eventually you get to a wrought iron fence, and then beyond that, you get into the estate of Beaumont itself, and it takes a couple hours maybe to walk up there into the center of it, and there's like a fairly large estate there that used to house probably about 30 or 40 people back in the day. As you start going up that pathway, perhaps about a half hour outside of town, once you've gone past the bridge and gone past the little plaza and are really kind of on the dirt road that leads up to the path, you realize that there's not a lot of tracks. Like there's not been a lot of traveling up and down this path. I would say that you're probably decent enough at tracking things of that nature to realize that there are the steps of a horse that has gone by recently. You would probably assume the Witcher. And if it's anything like the game, the horse is probably standing on top of a house somewhere right now. But, we'll assume that there are no glitches like that here. You start walking up, and about 45 minutes in or so, close to the hours when you would come up to the gate. And so you've been walking for about an hour, and you still haven't come across the gate. And as you're sort of now starting to pay attention a little bit more, because you realize you should have gone to the gate and you're not. It is dark. There is a tiny sliver of a crescent moon that is shining a little bit of feeble light, a little bit of feeble silver light on everything. You realize the trees are not really the same trees you're used to seeing on the estate. It's usually like fairly, regular trees, whatever, oaks and beeches and what have you, whatever is sort of in the area here. But now you're seeing trees that are very differently colored. You would have expected the red, the green, the yellow, the orange of fall, but now you're seeing blues and purples and all sorts of strange manner of trees. And you stop and look back, and you realize you can't see the lights of the crossing below you, and you should be able to see them this late at night from this vantage point. And you in fact realize that you really don't know where you are. You rarely get lost, but you kind of get that feeling that you're not where you're supposed to be. Call an Uber.
Yeah, right. I think the first thing she's going to do is, she's kind of almost passively been walking because she wasn't expecting to need to really pay attention. She knew the way, it's the road. But I think at this point she's going to actually make an effort to sort of like survey the area around her, which I think would be a wilderness survival check.
Sure.
To see if she can't figure out what is happening.
Our first roll of the night.
Just to sort of feel how this system works.
Yeah.
So I roll a D10.
Yeah, and you're going to add it to your wilderness survival, which is with your base, which is 12.
Yeah. This is one of her good stats. She's a bit of a prepper.
You know what? If you wanted, you could also do a read nature roll, which would be on your intelligence, which might not be as high as your other thing, but you could do that if you wanted. So your intelligence.
Well, they're both based on intelligence.
Okay.
Wilderness survival is also an intelligence stat.
And
but I have ranks in wilderness survival. I don't think I put.
yeah, you have 5. I'm giving everyone 5 ranks in the other thing. So
Oh,
it's
sweet.
up to you.
Well,
It's up to you.
then technically, yeah, let's do read nature, because that means that I have 1 higher of read nature than I do of wilderness survival. So that makes it a 21.
Oh, awesome. As you're walking around and you let your, your senses that you've developed in your years as a druid and your connection to nature sort of reach out and kind of feel what's around you. There's no, there aren't 20 ways to put this, but you're not in Kansas anymore. Everything is different. The trees, the quality of the air, the earth, so even the animals and things that you see, the position of the moon, you look up, the stars are completely different constellations. Wherever you are, you're not where you started. You're not in Fairy Manor. You're not on the border of Dol Blathana and Lyria. You're not near Briggs Crossing. You're somewhere kind of shifted. Slightly different. The landscape still looks the same. It's still the ring of trees and the hills that go up and the road and everything. But it's kind of like you're in an artist's copy or an artist's, rendition of where you're supposed to be. Your cat looks at you like, I tried to warn you.
I mean, do you have anything you'd like to help at this point with?
No.
Of course you don't. Okay, she's going to try one more thing. She is going to cast yeah, we're going to go with
Eternal Itch.
Yeah, Eternal Itch on the cat. Take that, you little miserable. No, no, she's actually going to try casting Nature's Sight.
Okay.
It's a real basic 2 cost. The effect would allow her to see creatures that are not natural to this realm.
Okay.
Anything within 50 meters of herself.
Okay.
They will show up as glowing versions of themselves, even through obstacles.
That are not creatures that should not be here, that are not part. Is that what you're...
Not natural to the realm. So it's not like she can see any humans or...
But it would be non-natural to this realm that you're in, wherever you are, right?
Well, it's monsters. Monsters
Okay.
are considered not natural to the realm.
Okay, I get you. Go for it.
As opposed to, like, native creatures or humans or...
I got you. There's no roll? There's no...
Yeah, I do actually, now that I think about it again, I have to roll, but as long as I don't roll a 1, it just happens.
Okay.
And I did not roll a 1, so it just happens.
All right.
So she gets this sight, and I think it's very much just when she does it, she just sort of like has a little vial that she keeps in her satchel, and she just sort of takes it and like flips it onto her thumb and just sort of like rubs her eyelids.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she opens her eyes again, it's like it's almost as if her eyes are slightly more reflective, like a cat's eyes.
So when you do that, the first thing you notice when you come back to is that whatever effect this power spell usually has, it's almost as if it's like 10 times more powerful. You're seeing all sorts of things. You're seeing lights and motes of things floating in the air. You're seeing just the pure sort of raw natural energy that's emanating there. It's and the best way to kind of describe is that when you normally use this, you see the little things that stand out from nature, like the things that are, because they are more magically infused, the monsters and things of that nature, and they are they stand out. But it's like in this case everything is like that. So it's like the TV or something just came on and it's like just blasting you, and you're kind of seeing all this natural power that's just sort of emanating from around you. You don't see any creatures or monsters or anything like that, but you can clearly tell that the world around you is one that is, as opposed to your world, which has weird magical things in it. Sometimes this thing is kind of entirely woven of magical energies. Like there's a filter in front of the world that has that sort of power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's all she needs to know. I think she's sort of like very much like just reflex reaction, just shuts her eyes and just like sort of like swipes at the oil, even though realistically the oil is not what does it. It's her, but
of
you know.
When you wipe your eyes, you see that your cat has moved
I
to the side of the road.
the-
There's like a little, there's a tree there with like big roots, and there's like a bed of leaves that's at the bottom, and he's kind of curled up and is sleeping. And when you see him and you look up, you realize that quite a bit of time has passed by. You can almost see on the eastern horizon the sun, the glow of the sun beyond the mountains. It's kind of like you've sort of lost a few hours, and you hear up ahead the sound of people screaming, and then there is a very loud and very powerful detonation. A very sort of whoomph, very, very deep, and you can almost feel the earth tremble. And while that's going on, you wake up, Zendal, and the first thing you notice is that pain, that ache that's always in your bones right there, the reason you take the soother. You don't know what Agnieszka gave you last night, but it worked awesome, because you wake up and that pain is almost gone, like it's barely noticeable.
I, of course, will kind of notice this this golden glow throughout the room. Stretching arms, almost pretending like, everything is just hunky dory. Going to slip out of bed, kind of go towards the window, pull the shades open, and it's just kind of enwrapping him in this sort of euphoric state. There's a bird, but it just seems like a magical bird from some sort of fairy tale, as if there's some omen in this this black bird with one red wing and one blue wing, and he has this just cheesy smile on his face, and he's going to work his way towards the door, and he is going to just very casually take the hook end of his cane, and he's going to pull the chair from the door handle, just being as swift and graceful about it as possible, and then open the door, stand over the balcony, and go, morning, everyone, morning.
As you say this, you see that Agnieszka and Anthony are walking down the corridor coming towards where you are, as they've already gotten most of their stuff sort of packed away and are ready to move. And you see them all come out and greet the morning with this glee, this joie de vivre that you've rarely seen in them, Agnieszka.
You look very well, Zendal. I guess the potion helped.
Yes, your handiwork, let me tell you. I can't get enough of this stuff. Well, I've certainly had enough of this stuff for last night, but well, I feel like I'm in my training years again. So, when are we off on the road? I'm ready to kick some gravel on my way to Belmont's.
I think
Get
after
something for the road.
something for the road, get up the supplies you suggested, and then we could be on our way.
You will find that the innkeeper has prepared for you a couple of packages, several things to bring to Belmont's estate. He also will tell you that you're doing him a favor, a service in doing this, and so he has comped your rooms for the night. So your meals and your rooms are free, and just very grateful that you're going to check up on Belmont, and obviously on your way back, if you want to stop and give him some news and let him know what's gone down, you would certainly appreciate it. So you will load up whatever transportation method that you have. I think Zendal, you had arrived in a carriage. You will. Do you want a horse? How do you want to? For once, you're feeling you could probably handle kind of a solo ride on a horse or something with the pain now gone. However, you decide to make your way up.
I would say the thing is that Zendal, Zendel's preference typically is horse-drawn carriage for reasons, but in this particular instance, in the particular state, he is, and the thing is he every now and then he does, ride a horse, or he does ride donkey or mule. Usually it requires a certain state of mind for that. And so you are going to see him work his way over towards one of the horses, and he's going to take the hook side of his cane, latch it on. He's going to pull himself up with a very firm and very quick tug, and that's going to give him just enough air to put his foot into one of the loops and grab onto the side of the saddle, and work his way to mount himself onto the horse.
Looking very very dashing as he does so.
Yes, and he's actually, of course, his hair is braided, but he's gonna take his hand and he's gonna brush his hair back. And as he's doing all of this, he's sort of humming a tune that Anthony played the other night, but he is not good at singing. He is not even good at humming. He is absolutely murdering the tune. It is not even in the same key of Antony's original playing. It's kind of grating to the ear, as a matter of fact. But he doesn't mind. In his mind, he is nailing it. He's nailing it note for note, and even in his mind, he's hearing the chord progression. He is there.
I think Anthony would try to harmonize with what he's given, to spotlight, but also try to patch any any rough spots. But
Agnieszka, it's pretty hard. It's pretty. Thank God you're not
I
going
guess
that
she's just
far.
like, it's not far, but he's having a good morning, and you know what? That's very important. So
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. It's a beautiful sunny day.
You have a donkey that's got like the extra packages and stuff that the innkeeper wanted to send to Belmont, and you set off on the road, climbing up the hills towards the estate. You're driving for a little over an hour and chatting with each other and sort of just taking in this beautiful day. when you suddenly hear far ahead of you, just as you were starting to wonder when you were going to get to the gate. You should have passed the gate a little while back, and now you're starting to pay a bit more attention to what's around you, and the forest seems somewhat different than what you would have normally expect, or what you would normally think of seeing, and you're wondering if Belmont has done some landscaping or what's sort of going on. And you suddenly, from quite a bit ahead, hear this very large sort of detonation, as I was explaining earlier, this sort of very deep sort of whoosh sound. And you can see up ahead a little bit smoke rising up above where the tree line is. What would you like to do?
Book it, probably.
Yeah.
Turn around and leave? All right, that's it for the stream, ladies and gentlemen. You book it up the road. Kellis, you have, I assume, also will be, once you heard the detonation, will sort of head up there, or?
Yeah, I think she would have sort of gotten her bow ready, and is just sort of doing that very like sort of loping fast, like not a full out run, but that sort of very loping, quick moving forward, while like trying to scan everything and sort of keeping her bow like ready, but not drawn or anything.
Yeah, I gotcha. You will arrive on the scene first. The first thing that you notice is that there's a village here you've never seen before. There is a small village with a wooden rampart around it. There are buildings of a strange kind of construction, not like mushroom houses or anything like that, but just not the type of houses that you normally see in this area. And as you approach, you can see that there are fires burning inside the area. There's a house that's caught on fire, and all of you will see the same thing as you approach, and I will put it up on the map here. As you approach this village, you see, as you pass into that archway, that little sort of horse gate, and come in, you notice a village that is absolutely empty. There doesn't seem to be anyone around here. There's one of the buildings that's on fire. There are fires that seem to be burning the earth itself, and there's this huge crater at the center of this plaza, this village, and lying at the center of it is a man that is completely bloodied and seems to have been almost eviscerated. He's got white hair and very pale skin, and in his hand he's holding a blood-stained silver sword that is broken, the blade shattered in several pieces, lying about him. And that is where we will take our break for this evening, because sorry, roll around here. As you arrive upon this village you've never seen before, don't know what the hell this village is all about. This giant crater, flames all around, and what appears to be perhaps a witcher, dead, bleeding, eviscerated, sword in pieces.
Just as long as it's not Belmont.
Belmont? No, it's not Belmont. But you don't see Belmont anywhere. Thanks so much, people, for hanging out with us. Thank you, guys. Great role play. It was a lot of fun seeing you discover your characters and start bringing them together. We will now be able to take these characters and dig into this. We will take a short break. Please hang out with us. We super appreciate you all watching, and we will be back in just a few minutes. So don't go too far, and we'll see you momentarily. Oh, you know what I always do? I always do this. I always mess up, and I never changed the bumper thing. So then we go to the break, and then it says starting soon, because what are you gonna do? But it's how the cookie rolls. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you in a short minute. We are back. We are back in time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We super appreciate you. Just before we took our little break here, the players had been traveling up to the estate of their friend, the gnome Belmont, who had sent a letter out to them asking them for help, and they traveled to meet him. However, upon entering the estate where he lives, which is, randomly called Fairy Manor, they discovered that the land around them had changed. It's switched around. They were in some sort of different place, and they arrived at this little village they'd never seen before. In this little village, there is fire, there is a crater, and there is what appears to be a dead witcher in the middle of this crater with his silver sword shattered to bits. You arrive, mein Freunds, at this strange sight. You do not recognize this village. You do not recognize this place. You've not seen this person that's lying there before. You only sort of assume he's a witcher because he's got two swords and he's got kind of a bit of a look. You all arrive in here. Let me sort of drop you in here.
No.
You have arrived first, Callus, but the others are hot on your trail. Hot, get it, hot. And oh, here, look. What you got?
What?
Got your cat.
I imagine in his particular state on the mount, hearing the explosion, Zendel's first reaction would have been like, someone's having a party. Fireworks.
Prepare your food.
And then disappointment.
Disappointment.
Disappointment, not worry, not.
Well, disappointment at first, and then realizing, kind of having this moment of lucidity of realizing what was happening, and then worry. But worry was not the first thing. Excitement was the first thing.
So let's go around then.
Worry is not his first instinct.
We'll say that. So we'll start with Callus, since Callus, you arrived on the site first, and the others are kind of behind you. Let's go around the table and let me know what you want to do. So we'll assume your carriage has pulled up, your horses have pulled up. You came up on horses, and you've dismounted and kind of run through this porte cachade there. But Callus, first, you arrive first on the scene. What do you do?
I mean, the first thing she wants to do is when she kind of looks and sees this man is almost certainly dead. She doesn't need to be the doctor to make that assumption. I think she wants to then scan the scene, which I'm looking to see what stats in this, because I don't see a scan or perception. Would it just be awareness?
Yeah, so
she would use
awareness.
if she's just trying to sort of scan the scene and see if she can't
absolutely
gain any information about what has happened or where anybody is.
Go for it. So that's your intelligence skill base plus a d10.
Yep. So that's going to be a 13.
A 13. So, I mean, it's hard to see much beyond here. You would think so. You don't. There's something you notice. There's nobody else. There are no other people, which is kind of strange. Even looking through the windows or anything like that. You can. I would say with your 13, you certainly realize that there's been some sort of fight or something that's gone on here. You can see tracks a bit of blood here and there, and so on and so forth. And you notice that one of the houses across the way is burning. I will also say that you do get a sense that the fire that's burning is magical fire, or that it comes from a magical source. It's not there's not wood burning or anything like that. It's literally the ground is on fire around where this crater is. Do you wish to take some sort of action, or you do hear behind you people coming up, you hear horses sort of coming in? And
to be clear, who are you asking?
I'm asking Callus But if she
Okay.
wants to, now that she's seen, just asking if she wants to do something, or if she's just, you can just say, you know, I turn around, I see them coming, I wait for them, or whatever. If you want, it's perfectly fine.
I think she sort of almost like falls back against this building that's like behind her.
Mhm.
She just sort of steps back so that her back is to the building so she can keep an eye on what's going on in front of her and also see as these people come up.
And as you do that, you see a cat bounds out and runs into the center and sort of starts sniffing at the body that's there.
Hatch does?
Yeah.
Of course.
No sense of self-preservation, this
None
one.
whatsoever. So again, we'll just continue. I'm not going to have us roll initiative or anything right now, but I'll continue in the order that I see on my screen. So then we would go with Zendal. As you're pulling up, you do notice that Kellis is there, with her back to one of the buildings as you come to the corridor. What would you like to do?
So, I think at this point, there are a bunch of instincts that are being balanced as Zendal is sort of considering the site of the, well, what very apparently seems like a murder, unless it was an accident. But this is a pretty bad accident if it was an accident. So
Certainly
in which
doesn't
case,
look like natural cause.
right. Zendal is going to sort of be tempted to be a little encouraged to work his way down into the crater if there's a safe way.
It's not very deep.
I was
very
going to
deep.
say, it looks like it's basically like, you know, of a height with a person, but then I remembered you're a dwarf, so maybe a little steep for you.
It certainly will. So he will be. Yes, I mean he'll certainly be using his cane to.
Whatever. If the cat can get down there, you can get down there. It's fine.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You have a good athletics skill there. You feel confident.
Great athletics. Not speed, not very good, but athletics, very much so. So, is able to lower himself down into the crater and begins sort of working his way towards the Witcher, being very observant, and essentially he's going to start doing a bit of a deduction roll. He wants to try to kind of understand. He's okay in his time. He's seen a lot of death. He's seen a lot of war. He's seen criminals and assassins kill people before his very eyes. He's seen large groups of thugs roughhouse other individuals. He's even seen some magical things here and there. So the first thing that he's going to try to do is try to assess, okay, what exactly caused this crater? Was it a projectile? Was it something on the individual? What about the wounds might indicate the nature of whatever it was? There's all these questions that he's asking. So he's sort of.
Your gist. I get your gist. So give me deduction, which is your intelligence base plus a D10.
Intelligence base plus D10. All right. So skill base on deduction is going to be 10, and then where's the rolling function in Owlbear?
There is a roll function on Owlbear if that's what you're looking for. You click.
Right, I was asking.
Yeah, on the top left, next to, you see where the party names are? There's like a little square
there it
box,
is.
and you click on that. And
Yeah.
Boom.
Opens up a rolling.
show
Rolling
the dice
tray.
tray. I don't trust those
Awesome.
things. You're welcome to roll your own dice if you want to. I'm totally kosher with that.
Sure thing. The roll I got was 8. 8 plus the base, which is 10.
All right, so that's 20, 18. So that's good. All right, so I'll tell you this. Is what I'll tell you. Hold on to that roll. I will see what everybody else is doing, and I'll kind of go through what everyone wants to discover, sort of in one fell swoop, as we go along. Agnieszka, you'd be next, as you see Zendal sort of get himself into this crater and begin investigating and looking around with what looks like a bit of a practiced eye at what sort of clues may be picked up. What would you like to do?
I think being a doctor, Agnieszka is going to focus on the body and first of all ascertain dead, and then try to examine the body for, if he's dead, examine the body for what could have caused this, like what the injuries are specifically.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Noble Crumpet. Love that name. Thanks so much for the raid. We appreciate it. We are playing some Witcher here. And because we were playing The Witcher, the players have just found a dead Witcher. Because
because none of us are witchers.
at the bottom
We
of a
had to have
crater,
a witcher somehow.
there is a
No
Witcher.
witches.
I didn't want people to feel like they'd come to The Witcher and there was no Witcher. There is a Witcher, except he's dead at the bottom of a crater right now. Thank you so much, Noble Crumpet. We appreciate you raiding into us. Go ahead, Agnieszka, and give me, I guess, a what's your medicine roll thingamabobber?
It's craft. The healing hands or the surgeon?
No, just the you're trying to get a sense of what's happened to the body, or if they're still alive, or if they need help, sort of thing.
So a deduction would that be then? Or would it just be healing hands because of the doctor?
No, yeah. Do that.
The healing hands?
Yeah, do that. That's
Okay.
fine. That's good.
So that's a D10 plus the base.
I can live with that. I can live with it.
Okay, so that's 20 total.
Excellent. All right, so you get down. So I will tell you this thing right now, and I'll give you details. He's dead.
Yeah,
He's
I figured.
dead, and it's clearly a Witcher. You can see by the skin and by the eyes, and he looks like he had just he was under the influence of some of the potions that they drink, as his skin has got this weird dark sheen to it, with like in the TV show with the dark veins, and he definitely looks like he was under the influence of some form of magical alchemy. And I'll give you more details in a little bit. Just remember what your role was. And finally, Anthony, as you arrive last on the scene and you see all this, you see Agnieszka and Zendal in the pit doing some stuff. You see Callus just sort of putting her back to the wall and kind of keeping an eye on things. What would you like to do?
Okay, I do want to call out and say, like, be careful of that Witcher. Be aware of, like, whatever might still be around. Keep an eye out. I want to try and stomp out fires, and, like, I don't know if I can put out the building, but, like, anything that's can ignite more of this place, and we don't know what's going on, so I want to.
So you want to do like some sort of investigation action? What skill do you have that you would like to use? I would like to say thank you to Lord Gazumba. Jay, thank you so much for dropping in with a huge raid. We super appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming in. We're playing The Witcher, and they've just found The Witcher, and he's dead. So that's how the game's going. At the bottom of a crater, dead, bleeding.
Great.
Yeah, and we just started, so go figure. Thank you so much, Jay. I really appreciate the raid. Thank you everyone who just came in and for the follow. You were saying, Anthony, what would you like to throw at this?
I would like to use endurance to be able to, like, stand stomping out fires and things, and, like, just trying to keep flames contained.
I dig it. I dig it. So go ahead and give me that.
Roll a d10, right?
Yep. And add your base, which is 10.
Base. So I got a 12.
All right. So you're managing to stomp some fires. Now you realize the fires on the ground are unstompable. the ground itself is burning. They're magical in nature, but then you realize the house is on fire and there's other houses nearby. So you go over and there's a big barrel of rainwater there. So you start kind of, throwing some of that. And you're not, with the 12, you're not having, all the luck in the world, but you are standing your ground and you are affecting that. Yeah, that's how we ride out Carvel. All right, so down in the pit, I will give you the information that you get down the pit, and then we'll see what people want to do. So, Zendal, as you go around, the first thing that I will say you get with your routine is you realize that it wasn't an impact down, it was an impact up and out. And it appears that the flames are probably a separate incident. There's no indication in the crater of burn marks or anything like that. So the flames were probably something else. And then there was some sort of internal kind of explosion or something. But the ground itself at the bottom is not really damaged. It's really like, as if there was like just like a big scoop of something that pulled sort of everything out. You can also tell with your practice eye that there was a very involved and violent fight. The Witcher has tons of wounds. His armor is ripped to shreds. Like I said, his silver blade is broken. There are shards of it kind of everywhere. You do notice he's got his meteorite blade is in his sheath, and he was fighting with his silver sword, so he was fighting some sort of monster. And it looks, even from where you are, like the battle rage kind of all over, and it just kind of ended up ending here. You don't notice any wounds or any impact on the Witcher's body from whatever this explosion was, so you kind of figure it was probably something he did that caused this. Like, he's not doesn't have dirt on him or rocks lodged in his skin or anything like that. So it looks like it was probably, and he's kind of right in the center of it, so it looks like it was probably something that he did. But there's no sign of very specifically a monster. There's no other body. You do see bits and pieces, like you'll see a claw that's been cut off in the fight probably, or a piece of, like a piece of hide that's been chopped, and there's blood sort of all over the place. And you kind of get the sense that your roll was pretty high, so I will say that you get the sense that whatever the explosion was kind of a final strike, like that the Witcher did something just as he knew he was going to kind of get in the teeth. Agnieszka, as you inspect the Witcher, as I said, it's clear he's dead. It's clear he was under the influence of several potions and things of that nature. He died by being impaled by some sort of your roll is pretty high. Like, it looks almost kind of like a tail of some sort, perhaps, that had kind of run in from the top, and he was impaled from the bottom of his belly kind of up, and it like ripped through and pierced. So you can see that it ripped through for a bit, and then there's like intact skin, then it came out like just sort of under its throat, and then it was ripped out violently, and you kind of get the feeling that it was this that really did him in. Like, it was that thing being ripped out and pulling
it, yeah.
Pulling out whatever it pulled out, that probably sort of rang his bell for him. So that's the information that you pick up. Let's go back around. So Callus, what is it, as people are kind of moving around, getting to the pit and looking for stuff, what would you like to do?
Sorry, that's me?
That's you. That is you.
Names and stuff. Well, okay, so the sound of the horses and stuff hasn't arrived yet. We still hear them coming up the drive.
No, the horses was these guys. It was your three buddies. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry.
Here, you got me all worried there were other people
You thought I
showing
didn't
up.
know.
It's just
Sorry.
these idiots. Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
it was your companions. Sorry. You're like, I'm watching.
I'm watching. I'm waiting. I'm waiting to find out what's going to happen.
But it all happened really quickly, and they
get
kind
out
of
of
ran
the way.
through.
I'm waiting to see who's coming up the drive. Yes. No.
We want to see a body.
Okay, so now that we know that is what is happening here, and we've established that maybe this fire can't be put out by natural means. I don't think I'm the sort of person to manage to do anything about that, though. So,
As you're sort of looking around and wondering how you can help, you hear a voice coming from.
I was gonna say, I'm just gonna start looking for Belmont. Like, sorry for I can't do anything about this fire, but I need to make sure dude is here or alive or what's going on. So I'm gonna look for Belmont.
You start looking around and you notice, you catch out a corner of your eye movement and you look and there's someone that's hiding out behind one of the houses and is kind of peeking out, and you hear, "Is it gone? Is it gone?"
Is what gone?
That creature.
I don't know what creature you're talking about, but as far as we can see, we're the only people here. So why don't you come out and tell us what's happening here? We're here to help.
After a moment's hesitation, a woman comes out from around the house, and you recognize her. She's somewhat older, perhaps in her early 60s or so. You recognize her as Dagmara, who was the one of the servants of Belmont at the house. She comes out and she seems really kind of apprehensive and nervous, and you can see that she's been banged around. Her hair is all messed up and she's dirty, and she's got like some wounds and contusions, and some of her her clothes are a little bit ripped out. It looks like she got like the wind kicked out of her a little bit, and she kind of comes out very hesitantly. She goes, "Kellis, is that you?"
But Mara, yes, hi. What's going on? Where's Belmont?
I don't know. Tell me, do you see Dagna anywhere? Do you see Dagna? Dagna, is her daughter, who is also servant at the house of Belmont.
No, we just got here. We have this is the only place we've been so far, and this is what was waiting for us when we all arrived.
She must have taken her. Agnieszka, is that you? What are you doing here? What is that? Oh,
Belmont.
The letters.
Yes, the letters.
You're the
What's
ones
happening?
Belmont was right. So you all recognized Dagmar. You would have met her when you were here. She seems really kind of lost a little bit and kind of discombobulated, and she says, I don't know. It's very difficult to explain. Everything happened so quickly. There's this creature. There was something at Belmont. There was something after Belmont. He had asked this, and she sees the dead Witcher, and she goes, "Is he dead?"
Unfortunately, yes, he is dead. But what was the creature that he was fighting? What's been happening here?
She slowly falls down to her knees. She says, I don't know what it was. It was... Belmont had been acting strangely. He felt there was something after him. He was getting very paranoid, and he wrote to you, and he asked this Witcher that he'd met at some point during his travels to come here. He only arrived yesterday, and it's just... We woke up this morning and we were not at the house anymore. We were in this village. I don't even know where this place is. I've never seen this place before. And Dagna was there, and Belmont and this Witcher, and outside we heard this strange noise, this scream, and the Witcher ran out, and he was drinking potions as he did, and he ran out, and this thing, this strange creature with like, it looked sort of like a woman from the top up. It had this milky white skin, but it had these talons and this tail and these horns, and it had this look of just intense hatred on its face. It came out and started fighting the Witcher, and Belmont tried to help, and I was just trying to keep Dagna safe, and then suddenly the thing looked like it had killed the Witcher. It impaled it with his tail, and the Witcher's sword had broken, and he did something, and I went flying through the air, and I banged my head on the side of the house there. And are you sure you've not seen Dagna anywhere? Dagna, she gets up and she starts sort of walking around, and you can tell that she's kind of, dazed and out of it. So let's go around. What would you like to do as this woman is sort of getting up and stumbling around, screaming for her daughter, Dagna? We'll start with Anthony this time.
Yeah, sure. I think it's worth encouraging her to sit down and rest, and were there any particular haunts that this monster was hiding at? Like, was it here on premises?
I don't know. I've never been here. I don't even know what this place is. I've never seen any of this before.
It's in the same spot as the house would be, or the estate would be.
It's different. When I was walking up last night, I used sight, and everything here is showing up as not from here. It's different. I know this place like the back of my hand, and nothing is familiar to me either. It's somehow this is exactly where Belmont's place should be, but none of this should be here. None of it is from here.
It seems like we took a wrong, just feels like we took a wrong turn and ended up in some place that's nowhere near the estate.
But she says this is where the estate should be. They woke up in this place.
Well, whatever this creature is, and wherever this village came from, I think we should be asking around, perhaps getting to know. And as he begins saying that, but then he's just kind of looking out of the crater a bit and kind of wondering to himself, has there been anybody that they've seen aside from this individual who used to work at the estate of Belmont? No. Have they seen anybody?
You've not seen hide nor hair of anyone else, nor any real animals for that matter.
I should spend some time casing the place, trying to understand where this place is, what it is. Is the estate even there anymore? Is the house even there?
It probably isn't safe to wander off by yourself, though, if whatever killed the Witcher is still running around.
She said her daughter and Belmont were just here with her, so they should be somewhere nearby if they were all thrown from whatever that explosion was.
There was another one also. Oh.
Another what?
I only saw her briefly just before I was pushed back by whatever that was the Witcher did. I'm not even sure if I really saw her, but there was like another woman. She was just sort of strolling in. A crown. She was wearing a crown. She had a long red and black dress and a veil over her face, and I'm not even sure I actually saw that. maybe it was just when my head was hit. Wait a minute. This place, and she runs over and she starts opening doors to houses instead of looking in, and she kind of gets manic as she's doing it, and she's moving around and
Agnesia's kind of like following to try to spot her because she doesn't trust that she's not going to collapse at some point given the velocity she was thrown at.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, at this point, it would seem like it would seem that everybody's kind of moving away from the crater towards her, because she's going manic, trying to like figure out something about these houses. Zendel is probably going to be the last person to leave this area, specifically leave the crater. And before heading off to everybody, Zendel is going to look down at the Witcher, just kind of look at the face of the Witcher, kind of tilt his head a little bit. He's going to reach into his pouch. He's going to take a coin, and he's just going to flick it at the body. And then he's going to proceed to follow Liz.
I feel like as you look up from flicking the coin, you suddenly realize the cat is still just sitting there and like watched you do it.
Just cat pops the coin.
So as you follow Dagmara around, she's opening doors, and when you follow and you look inside the homes, you realize the homes are empty. There's nothing in there. There's no furniture. There's no fireplace. There's nothing. There's no sign of life whatsoever. Almost as if the houses are just a facade. In some ways, the world, it seems very strange, but the image you kind of have in your head is of a drawing that's not fully finished or fully filled in. There's just this kind of strange, unfinished aspect to the world as she's opening these doors, and then she's like, "That's impossible. How can that even be? How can that even happen?" And she
Dagmar, I need you to explain what you think is happening
I need to
right
get
now.
up high. I need to get up high. And she starts looking around, and she finds like a house that's got like a ladder, and she wants to start climbing up on top of the ladder.
Can you let me get up high for you? I don't think you should be climbing right now.
I'm okay. She just sort of climbs up and
climbs after, because again,
when you climb up, you see something you've never seen before. As you climb up on top of the house, the land beyond is not one you've ever laid eyes on. It rises up higher and higher, and there's a river that runs by further back. There's no rivers anywhere near the estate, and there's a river that runs by further back, and in the distance you see a row of very dark mountains, dark peaks, and there's like this sort of weird dark forest at the bottom with just these bare crooked trees that are kind of like these weird claws that are sticking out of the ground. And beyond it, lost in the mist, there is this dark castle that rises, and you can barely see its outline. Over yonder on the right, you can see a forest of fall colors, autumn colors, like you would have expected to find in the estate, but there's a little bit of that near the river. Further ahead of you, there's another forest, but this one is strange. It's got these weird purple trees that just kind of twist in the wind. And over further to your left, the ground swells up a little bit, and you can see the outline of what appears to be maybe like a swamp or something, like trees that would be in a swamp, but like all the fringes hanging down and whatnot. And there's another road that continues even sort of further on beyond that, but you've never seen this land before. You know that behind Belmont's estate there's the forest, and then there's the mountains, and then that's it. But now you're seeing this vast vista that is absolutely alien to you. Dagmara falls to her knees on the roof, and she's like, that's her castle.
Whose castle?
The Veiled Queen. How is that possible? And she kind of collapses, and you can tell that like she's really kind of reached her limit.
Yeah. I know she's gonna like kind of catch her so she doesn't fall off the roof and just kind of brace her. Is there any roll I can make to try to figure out what this veiled queen she's referring to is? Like an education roll, or
So you can. What's everybody else doing at this point? So they're on top of the house. Anybody else has anybody else gone up? Or you, the rest of you down at the bottom? What's everybody else doing?
I think Kellis was trying to. So she mentioned this woman ran in right before the explosion happened.
Mm.
And Kellis doesn't understand how that could possibly have been true, considering she was essentially on the road for hours and no one passed her. So I think she's focusing on trying to find tracks or anything to indicate an actual other person was here, and if so, where they went.
Okay. What's Anthony doing?
I would like to look for her daughter. I'm looking for Belmont. I'm doing my own exploring, opening my own doors. Seems like some rooms. I don't know.
Okay. And what's Zendal doing? I know you wanted to case the area. Do you actually want to do that, or is there something else what you want to do?
Well, casing the area as a part of what he can do as a criminal, that takes up to an hour.
Yeah,
This
I'd let
is
you do it.
standing
I'd let you do
gentleman, a
like
criminal?
I'd let you do a shortened version, a summary version of it if you want, like kind of do a quick survey of the area kind of thing if you want. Make the same
Sure.
roll, and we'll just not go into as there won't be memorization of routes and things like that, but it'll give you kind of a lay of the land, if you will.
To kind of ease into things, Zendal is still somewhat under the influence of the Soother. So the thing is that a little bit more aloof than everyone. It's not like he's not necessarily paying attention or doesn't care about what has happened. It seems pretty peculiar. Seems a little surreal. He manages to make his way over towards the well that is nearby the city square. He does get this sensation or this feeling like this is an odd place. And he gets a little curious. He decides to bend down, grab a stone, go over to the well, and drop it down, and just kind of listen, and see if there's like just a splash of water at the bottom, or if there's anything. There's not necessarily any real logic as to why he's doing this. Is he's just kind of acting under where his mind is at. But that is going to sort of be where the first thing that he is going to do as he transitions into casing out the place. He's being very
Methodical about it.
He's being very like methodical and almost a little eccentric about it. Kind of, you can almost think of like the detective from Boondock Saints.
Oh, man.
Just a little bit like
Wow,
that.
that's a reference and a half, buddy. Willem Dafoe at his Are you going to be wearing women's clothes by the time this is over?
I mean, potentially.
You never know how these things turn out.
Yeah.
Man, wow, that was
exactly.
a reference and a half. I'm like, oh, he's going to reference the guy from Glass Onion, and I was like, yeah, let's go. And then I'm like, man, that reference took me by surprise. I love it.
I mean, again, he's still on the Soother, so
Yeah.
I mean, he's going full bore into this. He's going out of pocket.
Sounds good.
So
Yeah.
So for the next hour, he is going to kind of follow the vibe of this town and try to utilize his ability to case the area. He's going to spend an hour wandering the streets, and will take note of things like the layouts of the streets, any not just main buildings, but alleyways in between, getting an idea like, is there any signs of life, not just people, but signs that people have been here, or that anything has shown that there's anything living about this place. There's like all sorts of curiosity that he's taking into effect, but he's kind of doing it in a way that seems aloof, but it also is kind of feeding into his like criminal sense of just keeping an eye out for things.
Gotcha. Cool. So I'll do a roundup of everybody's information. Kay, what were you doing? I forgot.
I'm calling out, exploring.
Oh yeah, so you're going around the town also. Okay. And did you do a roll? Okay, so yeah, you can do an education roll, Stephanie, and Rouge, you were doing a sort of survival tracking roll.
Yeah, wilderness survival, I assumed.
Yeah, shoot that out, and
Cool.
Stephanie, shoot me your.
Do quick math. That was really good. Education.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
I rolled a 10, which means that I just got 22 on that survival check.
And also, if
Ooh.
you roll a 10, it's an exploding dice.
Roll it again.
So you get to roll it and add, yeah. As you hear.
So that ends
Tell us
up being a 25 on that wilderness check.
Right, you
Because
could track
I
an
am
end. You could track-
determined.
And what did you get on your education roll?
I got a 22.
You're very well
Ooh.
educated, both school-wise. Your adoptive father showed you a lot of stuff. Obviously, Belmont told you all sorts of stories. You have zero clue what she's talking about. You've
Cool.
never remotely heard anything about this. The rest of you, as you go about for a little while, kind of scoping out the town and all that, I will say, Rouge, that you see a number of things. One, you can clearly find the tracks of Belmont. You can clearly find the tracks of Dagmara, the tracks of Dagna. Everything seems to jive what Dagmara says. They kind of all got blown away separately when whatever it is that created that crater happened. They all flew in different directions. It looks like Dagna flew and hit the house. Belmont would have flown into the bushes somewhere, and when you go there, and he's not there. Belmont appears to have gotten up and kind of wandered around perhaps in a daze, and then he's just gone. His tracks just vanish. Dagna is the same thing. She never got up from where she was. She hit the wall and she slumped down, and she never got up from there. But you do see another set of tracks that come down the road and go next to where she is and appear to maybe have picked her up or something. And these are high-heeled boots, whatever you want to make of that, that have picked her up. You find evidence of whatever the Witcher was fighting having also sort of disappeared, but after kind of limping off, and gravely wounded. It seems like perhaps it took off flying or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
Kay and Matt, this place, imagine a movie set. The level of detail in the plaza here is very high. You drop the coin in the well, you hear nothing. And in fact, it disappears. Like you would normally see it go down and it would just get darker and darker and darker, but it seems to kind of disappear all in one shot.
Ooh.
Like below a certain point, the well doesn't exist. Everything beyond this, the houses are there. They're complete roof, walls, doors, windows, but there's nothing inside of them. Beyond that, everything loses a lot of detail. The houses are unpainted, unfinished. There's just a couple of walls. And it's clearly not a functioning village or city. I will also say beyond that, Kay, that the only thing you find, and Matt too, to be honest, so the only thing you find is once in a while you find toys kind of littered about here and there. Not many. You maybe find one or two each, but you'll find, like, like someone's old toys, like they were done playing with this toy, like, they outgrew it or something, and in the one corner of one house somewhere there's this doll, and then in the corner of another house somewhere there's an old rocking horse that's got a broken leg, and then things of that nature. In fact, the more you look at things, the more you kind of feel like this is a village or a place kind of as seen from the point of view of a child. But not an infant or a small child, like someone who's grown up, so that there's, in places, the details that you see are things that would impress a small child, but then later on there are other things that would be like the kind of details you pick up as you start growing older and start understanding a little bit more about the world, kind of thing. So the three of you will kind of be doing this for a little while. It'll take like a little bit of time for you to sort of go around and do this. And of course, as you get further onto the village, you can see also what I described earlier with the castle and all that kind of on the horizon. And meanwhile, Agnieszka, since your thing was shorter, I want to get back to you as you're on the rooftop, and you minister to Dagmara, and you can see like she doesn't start crying, but you can tell that she's like kind of trying to hold on, and you can feel that she's quite crushed by all this, and on one hand very confused about WTF's going on and how could this be and all that, but also obviously Dagna, her daughter, is gone, and she, I won't say she goes catatonic, but she's kind of unresponsive for a while, and then as you watch a little bit your companions move around the town and kind of pick up different things, she'll start to kind of come to a little bit, and she'll look up at you and she'll go, "Is she gone for good? Do you think I could find her?"
I think we have a good chance of finding her. My companions are trying to ascertain where they could have gone, but any information can help right now. You mentioned a veiled queen. Who is this person?
It's too crazy to even say out loud. I can't even believe it.
This whole situation is a little weird, so just say it out loud. I think we're all very open-minded right now. At least I am.
There's a story, and as Dagmara is telling you about this story, Anthony, you enter a house and you see nothing. There's nothing. There's even like the windows are not there, but you see a piece of parchment on the floor in the middle of the house. And when you pick it up, you start reading it, and it's the thing I sent you earlier. She's like, there's the story. It's I guess a fairy tale of sorts about a veiled queen, an evil queen who had daughters, and one that she preferred over the other, and eventually one is discarded and the other one rises against her and they fight, and I don't remember how it ends. I never paid attention. It just makes no sense that we'd be in a fairy tale. I don't know. I can't. And as she's sort of saying this, you will, Anthony, I've read the story that I gave you, and a lot of you will sort of have come back at this point, having done your investigations, and you will. I will say for the sake of no one breaking their necks, that you've managed to come down with Dagmara, and you're sitting. The fires have started to die down, and there's The magical fires have gone, and the house, thankfully, was put out by Anthony. And the lot of you will sort of arrive as the two of you are having that discussion, and she's sitting on the ground, and she's saying, we'd be in a fairy tale. I don't understand. It makes no sense. How is that even possible?
It could be some type of illusion magic? Something like that. It's not my field of expertise, but...
What did you find? As she looks up,
Well,
did you find
Anthony?
Dagna? Did you see traces of her? Did you find her?
I haven't found anyone. We found some tracks. I think Kellis and Zendel found some tracks. I found a piece of paper just in one of the rooms. This feels very much like a set from, a theater troupe or something. Like, there's only some very cool things have lots of beautiful detail, and then lots of other things like each. Maybe I saw you guys walking around, so like all the houses are empty, right? But I have this paper that I found, and it's about the veiled queen and her two daughters. It's a fairy tale of sorts, but I don't know why that would be here. It doesn't make sense to me. But
Dagmar said the veiled woman who walked in was the veiled queen.
There do seem to be some tracks here that might have gone to Dagna and taken her. The Dagna looks like she fell here from the explosion, and that those tracks go up to her, and I think they might have taken her with them. Whatever was fighting the Witcher also looks like it went off and flew away. So maybe it took the queen or went with the queen to the castle. But I think that might be our best bet to find anyone. Belmont's tracks also disappear. I don't know if he's with them or something else happened, but it just looks like that may be our best bet to try and find out what's going on and help Dagna.
Like maybe whatever was here took them to the castle. Maybe it would be worth it to take some of the silver shards of the Witcher's sword with us when we go, just as a better to have it with us type situation.
Dagmar reaches out to Zandal and goes, I saw you. You're some kind of investigator, are you not? Did you see my daughter? Did you find her?
I have not seen signs of it. Any living creature here, any person, is just feels like it's just a memory, like everything that someone has seen, but not beyond. I found these toys. I don't know if you recognize them.
She looks at them kind of right, and she takes them. I can't believe it.
What is it?
How is this possible? It can't be an illusion. There's only
Very
one
much
person
feels like one.
There's only one person who knows about this place.
Who?
Dagna. This was her make-believe place that she built in her head when she was a child, and she had a lot of difficulties growing up. She was always a little different than the others, and she got bullied a lot, and she had this place, and she called it Umbra, and it was just this place that she would go to in her head. It started when she was very young, and there was this whole story that emanated from it, and the veiled queen was in there, and she was this horrible, evil mother and queen and all these things. These are her old toys. This place is from my daughter's head. How is that possible?
Well, if this is your daughter's creation, then I would imagine she's still alive somewhere in it. And so should Belmont.
How is it possible?
It's alive, the Witcher was able to die. Maybe this place might be dependent on Dagna, but I don't think any of the rest of us can assume we won't be hurt or killed here.
The Witcher was perceived as a threat.
But it wasn't the Witcher, it was Belmont.
What?
That woman, the queen. Just before we were all blasted away, she said, she looked at Belmont and she said that he should forever be locked away in his most grievous memory, the one most important to him, but that he could not bear to face. Belmont would always talk about something that was really precious to him, but he could not allow himself to keep. He spoke of hiding this thing away, like somewhere where it would be safe, but he wouldn't have access to it. Or I don't know. It seemed to be tied to some most dire memory of his. I don't even know what it is or where it would be.
He didn't describe it at all?
I know what it is.
Hmm?
What? How could you possibly?
Pretty vague.
It was just a stone. That's all it was. Of course, Belmont insisted, as much as possible, that it was like a temptation, something that he couldn't bear getting rid of, but at the same time, needed it as far away as possible. So, as part of securing his estate, I managed to hide it in a very specific place. As a matter of fact, in a place that he wouldn't be able to find it unless he literally took the estate apart. How did he get his hands on it? Did something happen with it while he was searching for it?
If it's just a stone, what could possibly, even if he found it, what could possibly have happened?
See, that's the mystery. I had absolutely no inclination that this thing was, well, more than just a stone. For the most part, it was his mania, it was his insistence, and I saw the look in his eyes. It was not one that was not the look of a sane individual. So I knew that what he was saying had to have been true, and that stone needed to be put in a place where he could not access it. Put it in a lockbox, and I hit it at the top of an archway in the basement. Is there anything here that might remotely resemble
No.
the estate?
There is something. And Dagmara gets up and starts running, and she goes by and starts climbing on top of the house again.
Oh God.
Okay. Again, you should not be doing this. Just climbing up after.
When you climb up, you're with her. She's pointing over to the left of where you are, and she goes, over there. My daughter had a very fixed geography of the place. And does anyone have anything, a piece of paper or something to write with?
I have the back of the sheaf I just got.
Del, do you have a writing implement of some sort?
I'm sure I must have.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. So you give it that, and then she's yep.
Belmont used the term Ember's Folly. Does that ring a bell for anyone?
Can make an education roll to see.
Well, the one thing you would know, Agnieszka, was that Belmont's father was a jewel crafter of some repute. And that it's possible that there's like some sort of stone that comes from sort of that angle of it. Belmont never mentioned Ember's Folly to you specifically, but you do know that his father had that. There's also something else I think that I told Kay, but I don't know if Kay will remember. In any case, as Dagmara is kind of drawing, she's like, here there was, the village, this is where we are. It was the village, and the castle was over there, and the fairy woods here, and there was a witch's hut over here, and I don't remember what was down there. There was some other forest or some creature or other, but up here, and she kind of circles over there. That's where the summer estate is. The summer estate was this place we went to when Dagna was young, and she used to love it there. And she rebuilt it in her mind, but after we were living here, she would call Belmont's estate the summer estate, even though it... Could they be the same thing? Could that be what in this world matches that? It would be right over there at the end of that road.
That sounds like the best piece we have to go on right now.
If it's a replica of the original estate, I would very much like to get into that basement and check to see what might... If the amber stone is still there, if there's any resemblance, perhaps Dagna, perhaps somehow she found it. I don't understand how. It's literally within the support beam of the house.
Dagna was special, but I don't know that she would have had the ability to do that. I have to go. I have to go and see it. It was her favorite place of all the places, even in this weird fantasy realm of hers. It was the place that she retreated to. She might be there. She might be there right now, and she starts climbing down.
Lady's gonna give us a workout. Oh my goodness.
Your cat's just looking at y'all like you're crazy. She's like, cat's like,
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna have Kelsey just looks down at the cat, goes, I don't understand what's happening either, but we need to follow the trail until things start making sense.
I have to go, but I understand if you don't want to come. It's got nothing to do with you.
Belmont asked us to come. We're going to figure this out.
Well, as part of the party that might feel like perhaps I caused a mistake by putting it in the wrong location, I'm obligated.
Before you set off, does anyone follow? I don't know who suggested it, but does anyone climb down into the hole and get their hand on the witches?
Oh yeah, Agnesh's gonna pick up the silver pieces to have just in case.
When you go down there, one, you realize that his sword is broken in such a way that you could wield it as a small blade. It's going to become the bottom part's going to become a dagger.
Nice.
He also has on him a couple other things that you spot that you think perhaps would be good. He does have his other sword, which is a meteorite sword, but it's a great sword. I don't know if anyone is interested in wielding that. But he also has with him what appear to be a couple of bombs, and when you check them out, with your knowledge of alchemy and all that, you realize they are moon dust bombs. He's also got a couple other oils and things like that, but you can pick up his satchel if you want, and we'll have you make an alchemy check next time around and see what you discover of him. But a couple of them are moon dust bombs, and he's got some oils in there, so things that might be useful.
Awesome. Yeah,
he doesn't need them anymore. So you will grab the Witcher's things and retrieve your horses. Dagmara will say, I don't know where we are, how we came to be here, or how you came to be here, but I feel like if there's anyone that can help, that can see us through, if Belmont reached out to you, out of all the people that Belmont knew, out of all the contacts that he had, if he chose to write to you, it's because somehow you're important. You meant something to him in some way or some form, and well, I hope this is true, and well, all I really wish for is to find my daughter again and have her back. And if you can help me do that, I'll be forever grateful.
Aye. We will do whatever it is that is necessary in order to make sure that all of this is resolved, that we can find your daughter and we can get to the bottom of this entire mess.
And on those prophetic words, you will climb aboard your horses, gather your belongings, whatever they are. I did send a link in the Zoom for all of you to, if you want to read the story, the fairy tale. I sent it out to you. So it doesn't get lost, I'll post it later so that you can have access to it later on. But we will end here for tonight, having gotten to the chewy part of the mystery and hoping to find some answers. We will return next week, same place, same time, for the finale, for the second part and the finale of A Dying Wish, and find out exactly what the hell is going on in this place. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time. Fantastic, wonderful characters. Thank you also to our chat. We got some great raids with some great people hanging out with us. You can keep the advantages that you got from Fantasy Animal Vegan. Matt, just keep note of them. You will have them again next game when we play. Let's go around again, and if you would, please introduce yourselves. Tell us anything you want to tell us about. If you got plugs, anything where you're going to be, where people can find you, so on and so forth. And we will go again with Rouge. If you would tell us what's up with you. See what I did there?
Well, Most pressing, before I'm back here again next Wednesday, I will be this Sunday over on the Live from the Apocalypse Twitch channel. We will have the return of the D&D game campaign I've been playing for a while now, called Veil Breakers, after a long hiatus. So tune back in. It'll be a great time. We're starting to get into the meat of the quest for our heroes who already died once to save the world, and hopefully we won't die again. So very important, and it's a great time. Hope you catch us there. Obviously I'll be back here next week, but then also end of this month, the band that I've been part of for the last decade is having our final show. If you happen to be in sort of like the DC area, we have our last show happening in Vienna, Virginia on June 30th. It is a band, the Misbehaven Maidens, who are adult comedy a cappella. I know. How many dime a dozen are that? But if you look us up online, you can find all of the information about the show. We are almost completely sold out, so get your tickets now while you can. And otherwise, if you're not from the DC area, feel free to check us out on any of your streaming services. All of our music is available pretty much anywhere you can find music online. And hopefully you like it. But I should warn, it is extremely not safe for work. So be careful where you listen to it. There's a lot of swearing.
I can attest.
A lot of sexual references. It's a lot. It's just a lot.
Do you do any sort of Iron Maiden covers with a name like that, or do you just...
No.
No. Just a debauchery, right?
Yes.
No.
Debauchery and nerd references. That's all we've got for you.
You're very good at
That's great.
Yeah, we watched some of those videos and there's something. There's something.
Glad you liked it.
Of course, I'm weird. I'm all about that stuff. Thank you so much, Rouge, and good luck with the D&D campaign picking up again, and with the last show, Break a Leg. If it's ever on YouTube, let us know.
Yeah.
And,
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see, we're looking into what, if anything, we can do about, like, for posterity, having our final show in some format. But the music will absolutely still be available online for people. We're absolutely, even though we're not going to be performing live anymore, we're going to try to keep our music available online for who knows how long. So you can still check us out even if you missed that whole June 30th date. Yeah.
Awesome. And I think you're back here also in July for something.
Just can't
else.
get rid of me. I know.
Try and put the mosquito stuff on, and still they come. Thank you very much, Rouge. Thank you for being here, and look forward to next week and to the rest of the stuff. Matt, what's up, Matt? What you got going on? What's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. So tomorrow I'm going to be streaming the next episode of The Righteous Sacrifice, which is a campaign with a bunch of individuals. Right now they are going through a series of games known as the Cephalopod Squid Games, and that will be at 7. Well, it's more like 6:30 p.m. Central tomorrow, and then on the 25th, which I do believe is a Sunday, I will be kicking off a session of the Quiet Year with a handful of individuals that I've worked with over the past few years on one world building project or another, and we are going to begin the process of creating a new world to run a new campaign in, and it's going to be 2 sessions of the Quiet Year. This is just the first one, the Ancient Era, and then the second one is going to be a millennia and a half later. That is both of those are going to be streaming on twitch.tv/chaotican_writer. That is chaotican_writer. Also, if you are curious at all, also if you have any need for like random name generators or like world building articles, I do have a website at www.chaoticanwriter.com. And that is all.
Cool. I see that there's a mistake in the blast. That's the Twitch link for your Twitch doesn't have the underscore. I will fix it for next time.
Yeah, technically there is a chaotic and writer, but it is an empty channel. So
I will fix it for next time. We will be on top of that. Thank you so much for coming by, Matt, playing with us. It's a thrill to finally get to play with you, and we'll get next week again to bite into it. So thank you very much. Good luck with all those projects that we're building and all that. Sounds absolutely very interesting, actually. So
absolutely, and yeah, it's been a fun first session.
Nice.
I'm excited for the next one.
Cool. Stephanie, who's yawning, and I'm keeping you from going to bed, so sorry.
No, it's good. No,
What's
it's my
up?
late work night, so it's all good. Hi, I've been Agnieszka. This has been really fun. First time playing Witcher RPG, and so far it's going better than my attempts to play the games on my PS. So, yeah, so I'm hopeful. Always fun to be back. And while my table of A Season of Secrets and Shadows, our Regency-flavored Monster Hearts game over at Live from the Apocalypse is in their has had their season finale last week. Table 2's season finale is this Friday, so you can check them out. And in 2 weeks, you can catch me again at Live from the Apocalypse in the homebrew psychological horror game Redacted about being haunted by things throughout several different lifetimes. So come by and check that out. It's a fun time. There's been a murder.
Cool. Very, very busy as always. Love the people at Live from the Apocalypse, good friends of ours. Always have a lot of fun with them, so do check them out if you get a chance. Always quality stuff going on in there. And is JD getting any sleep or?
A little
Never.
more sleep.
A little sleep.
More. It
In
won't
between-
last,
between
I'm
streams?
sure.
No.
In between, yeah.
In between streams. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for being here again. Always a pleasure to play with you. And finally, the bard, the myth, the legend. Kay, what's up, Kay?
Hi, not much. I'm gonna go pass out right after we turn off the cameras. I'm very tired. So my name is Kay, or you can find me at Caden Cosmos on most of the social medias. I do a lot of like all sorts of art stuff. So I've dabbled in like graphic design, or I do improv. I've been in theater. I do all sorts of things. So you can see me do those things. On Saturday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I run a weekly free online trivia game that you can join at slyfoxtrivia.com, I believe. And you can come join us, or me specifically. It'll be fun. All right, that's it.
Cool. Thanks, Kay. I want to give a shout out to my friend Dan there, Dantos, who just gave us a follow. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. As for me, I am the Bleakseason. I am online at thebleakseason.com. I'm here tomorrow doing Lord of the Rings, the third of a 4-part series with using Lord of the Rings role-playing 5e. The Chris Sorrow. We're having a lot of fun with that, so I will be here tomorrow at 8 Eastern. And on Sunday on my channel, on the Bleakseason twitch.thebleakseason with Kay, actually, playing some Shadowrun. I know it's Father's Day, but, we're putting that aside. And it's my birthday this weekend, and I'm celebrating for myself with a stream of my favorite ever game, Shadowrun 3rd Edition. So we're going to do that with Kay, a couple of other good friends of mine on Sunday. So that's at twitch.tv/thebleakseason. And then next Tuesday, back here for Greyhawk, Mother Dave's Heroes of Greyhawk game. Tons of stuff always going on. And on next Wednesday, we'll be right back here, hanging out, playing The Witcher, seeing if any other Witchers have died while we weren't looking. These Witchers, they're dying left, right, and center. What are we going to do? Thank you so much, everyone, for hanging. We are going to raid some good friends of ours over at Wanderer's Haven. Please do stick around. Give them some guild season, I guess it's some guild superior love when we pop into their channel. Hit them with those emotes. Stick around, give them a little shout. They're playing some Dungeons and Dragons. I hope I've written Wander. I've not at all written it correctly. Wanderers. Why do people make it so difficult for me? Wanderers Haven. There we go. I wrote Wander Shaven, which, has been known to happen. In any case, we'll be back next week. Thanks so much for hanging out. We appreciate you, everyone who watched. And thank you, my players. You are all amazing. And we are out, and we will be back next week. Ciao.